Hi everyone, my name is Miss Hannah. I'm from the Ballackinwood Library, and today my science sweatshirt and I are back. It's been a while, but I'm back for another science experiment video. I know I've been doing lots of crafts lately, so I'm really excited to get back here with my science sweatshirt for another experiment video. So for this one, the reason I'm wearing my science sweatshirt, if you remember from the summer, is because we're going to be using food coloring, and I got food coloring on it. I don't even remember what experiment we were doing, but it was a while ago, toward the beginning of summer. So I have gotten it back out today because for this experiment, we're going to use my favorite thing, food coloring. You're also going to need some table salt, some Tupperware or other plastic bowls, some water, and some trays or something that you can put something on that is going to melt. So a tray with a lip or an edge so that we don't make a mess. So the first thing we're going to do is, and I already did this so that they'd be ready to go, you're going to fill a bunch of Tupperware bowls with water and put them in the freezer. So you're going to want to make, I think I did probably 5 or 6 bowls of water. I'm going to put them in the freezer, wait until they're nice and hard and frozen. You're going to turn them over, maybe run some warm water on it, turn it over, and put your little icebergs that you've made onto your tray. So I am going to go check on my ice that I have already put in the freezer, put it on our tray so that we can get started with today's experiment where we are going to melt some ice. So once you have all of your little icebergs here, we are ready to start pouring salt on it. And what this will do, as you'll soon see, is start to melt the ice. So let's pour some salt, and you kind of want to work quickly so we don't end up with a huge mess. And some of mine didn't freeze totally the whole way, but that's okay. So you just pour table salt onto each of the blocks of ice and watch what happens. And you'll start to make some observations. So if you can, write down what you see, what you hear. Let's see if you can hear that. Should start to hear some melting, with some crackling, and also see it start to melt. So to be able to see it better, we're going to add some food coloring so we can see all the ridges and valleys in each of them. So I'm just going to put some drops of food coloring. And we can watch as it melts. And again, this is going to make a mess, so try to use a tray that has a lip so it doesn't go everywhere, or do it in the sink. That will also work well. And if you notice that you're not hearing that crackling as much anymore, it's time to add some more salt. The one that's melting the best that we can see is this little one here. You can see the food coloring is all pooling down here as the water starts to melt from ice. So why does this happen? Why did we take these big solid blocks of ice and put salt on and immediately start to hear crackling of it melting? So this is because salt lowers the freezing point of water. So ice, if we just took the icebergs out of the freezer, let them sit here, after a while, after a couple hours, they would all melt. They would be just a puddle on the floor. However, when we add salt to the ice, it melts faster because it is lowering the freezing point of the water. And this idea is known as freezing point depression. So the more salt you add, the lower the freezing point. So this one, as you can see, hopefully all that has melted from our little one. And add a little bit more salt to our bigger ones. See if we can lower the freezing point by adding more salt. And to see the big one is pretty hollow. And this one here is hollow. This has a big, if we can see it, this one here is hollow all the way down through the middle now. We can put our hand in there. This one's starting to crack in the middle as well. Some of the more solid ones are taking a little bit longer. But as you can see, all of our little icebergs are starting to melt. So this is why in the winter, if it snows or if it rains or if it's just icy outside, you see the big plow trucks or maybe mom or dad or the people outside the library throwing salt all over the ground. And you may have wondered, why are they doing that? Why are they throwing salt all over the place? And that's because salt lowers the freezing point of water so that the ice will melt. Because we don't want to slip and slide on our way into the library. So you throw the rock salt, which actually will melt it a little bit better, but I just have the table salt. You throw the rock salt onto the ground and it helps to melt the ice so that you can safely walk across the sidewalk. So I hope you enjoyed this experiment. I'm going to let these sit a little bit. I might add a little more salt and see what happens. I would love to know how this experiment goes for you though. This one's melting a good bit, if you can see there. Please don't let them melt for too long because I don't want you to have a big mess of watery food coloring everywhere. But I would love to see what you create. I want to see all the little ridges and valleys that you can see with your food coloring. So if you can, send us a picture. You can email them your pictures and comments to our new junior room at the Balakin Library email address. So that is bcjunior, JUNIOR, @lmls.org. So email us your pictures, your comments. I love to see them and share with others to see how yours turned out. And if you are able to melt them the whole way, maybe in the sink, I'd love to see what you end up with. It should be pretty much just a puddle of food coloring by the time you're done, depending on how much salt you add. So thank you so much for joining me for today's simple science experiment with melting ice, and we hope to see you guys again next Friday for another video.